Hello, everybody. We are Behind the Mic, and we are Mike Joseph and Gary Laubach. Glad you are with us for what right now is the biggest game of the season so far. Holy Cross comes in. They are right now undefeated in the Patriot League at 2-0. They find themselves at 3-5, but they've lost 2 ball games because they went for 2 at the very end of the game and did not get them, and they lost both of those ball games by a point. Mike, I usually start with Lafayette. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to start with Holy Cross under first-year head coach Dan Curran. So that presents a little bit of a problem, obviously, for the coaching staff of Lafayette. But these games have been classics. I mean, last year's game was an absolute offensive classic, well over 1,000 yards in that ball game. I expect something very similar here on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I think both offenses are kind of clicking right now. Lafayette getting back on track against Sacred Heart, and I think we got 2 great quarterbacks in this game. We got some running game to look forward to. We got offensive lines that are getting better each week, and some defenses that are struggling. So I anticipate the same thing. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Lafayette's got to be prepared for a lot of different things coming from their defense, a lot of blitzing type stuff. I think they're going to send a lot of blitzes, and I think they're going to try to get our quarterback, Dean DeNoble, off schedule and get him off the pocket. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's going to be an exciting game to watch.
It's always been very, very competitive. 19-18 is the overall record. Lafayette leads by 1, 9-9 in Worcester, and they lead by 1 in Easton. But this is a ball club that has won 11 Patriot League championships, Holy Cross. They've won 5 straight, and you have to count last year's because they were a co-champion with Lafayette. 1,012 yards on offense last year. But we do have good news. Matt Sluka's gone.
Absolutely. I mean, he was 330 yards of running game last year, and then you had Fuller in who had close to 100 yards as well. So he was about 85%, and anytime they needed a first down or if they needed him to drop back and just run the football, they did that. So Lafayette really couldn't contain him last year, and he's a phenomenal player. But Lafayette's got to be better against the run. We know that. And I think they were better this week, past the week, against 2 really good running backs at Sacred Heart. I think they're going to have to do a really good job creating those 2nd and 3rd and longs, and that counts on first down. So Lafayette's got to be better first down defensively, not give up the big play, and the splash play is, I think, what's going to change the game here this week. Yeah,
it's not Matt Sluka, but it's Joe Pasansky, and Pasansky is a good quarterback, 6'4", 225, and a senior. He's got good numbers. He completes 60% of his passes. He 9 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Played almost a perfect game against Colgate, 25 for 28, 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can't play much better than that. Some good news, not for them, but for us. Jordan Fuller is out, probably as good a running back as there is in the league, and he's hurt.
A strong runner, too, and a strong runner in the red zone. He's a guy that can put the ball in the end zone. He knows how to find the end zone. He knows how to finish runs. But look at the guy they just replaced him with. I mean, Clairvaux's fantastic. He does a nice job. He had a big game again late, a little bit of garbage time against Harvard, but it became a close game at the end. So, over 150 yards. We're going to see 2 great running backs. And again, can that offensive line for Lafayette step up the way they did last week? You and I thought they were fantastic.
They were indeed. Clairvaux has put up some good numbers, 4.8 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. Jaden Clairvaux will be the running back for this ball club. Max Mosey, Justin Shorter, they're very good wide receivers, and Jake Peterson. They can always throw the ball. Their little extra has always been the ability of the quarterback to run.
Yeah, and getting Joe out of the pocket, I don't think obviously he's the runner that we saw with Saluka, but he can extend plays, and we saw that this last week against Sacred Heart. Lafayette had a little trouble getting the quarterback from Sacred Heart on the ground, and they couldn't get him on the ground, and Lafayette, again, still struggling to get to the quarterback and get sacks. Again, only 6-7 sacks this year. That's really not like them. And they changed up defenses last week, Lafayette. They went to more of a 3-4 or a 3-3 look. It was hard to tell, but they came from different angles. They went with a 3-man line covering the center, and they brought a linebacker here or there. We saw that with Bryson Bright, got a great sack. But this team, Holy Cross, presents not only a standpoint of good football from top to bottom, all 3 phases, but they're tough as nails. And they're going to come in here with a chip on their shoulder from last year. They obviously didn't get the automatic bid. We did. And 2 years ago, Justin Shorter caught that 4th and 16 to beat us. So they know they can win on this field. Lafayette's going to have to show up from the get-go.
When you look at their defense, it's going to be kind of interesting how Lafayette attacks them. Lafayette with a great running game last week, no question about it. They put up a lot of big numbers last week on the ground. Jamar Curtis with a terrific ball game. But this team gives up a lot of passing yards. They're last in the league in passing yards allowed. Number 2 in sacks, though. They have 16 of them. And number 1 in forced fumbles. So they do get after it. They cause turnovers. So I guess we could say one of the keys is no turnovers and throw the ball well.
Yeah, I think we have to have a high completion percentage. We have to be good at where we're throwing the football, and this team's going to be opportunistic. But Karasi is going to have to step up. Persing's going to have to step up. I think we're going to have to get a good game out of Holmes and Hozak, those kids. And then can you get Jamar the ball out in space like we did last week? I think some of the checkdowns to him were great, some of the screen plays, some of the swing passes. I mean, these are different ways to get him the football, so you just can't run it in there with kind of an inexperienced offensive line for Lafayette. It's going to be interesting to see what TJ comes up with, and I think he'll have a good game plan to move the football and at least change field position so that Holy Cross has to go the distance.
And you talk about a chip on your shoulder. Maybe Dean will come into the ball game, Dean DeNovo, our quarterback, with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's, for the first time in his career, he's had back-to-back games without a touchdown pass. So I'm sure he's been looking to get somebody in the end zone that he can throw the ball to. Jamar, number 1 in the Patriot League in rushing. Everybody knows how good he is. He's number 2 in touchdowns. He's now 12 career 100-yard games coming off another one. Dean has thrown to 12 different receivers. Some of them now are injured, so he doesn't quite have the number that he had before. Defensively, it's going to be very important for our secondary has played well. They have to play very, very well on Saturday.
Yeah, they're going to have to cover guys up. Mosey's a terrific receiver. They have other guys out there that can make plays. They don't have much of a tight end situation, but we've been really good at the corner position. We're not very big at the corner position, so that worries me a little bit. But we've done a fantastic. Dubois leads the league in PBUs, and getting to the football, we compete at the point of attack. So that's all you can ask those kids to do. And obviously, Sekou White, I think, is coming on stronger since that hand injury. You can see him coming up, making big time plays. He has interceptions. Narayan Brown's going to be a big key.
And he's played well.
Yeah, and he's played well. Can he do the right things? Can he tackle well in space? And can he attack the football when it's in the air? Those 4 guys can make plays. And then you add in some of the new guys we've seen. We've seen Robert Stevens come in. And we saw Bryson Bright come in, and Darson Genty. I mean, these are guys that are getting more playing time. They want to show what they can do. So this secondary's got to be up to the task, but it all starts for me up front. Jalen Joseph and the rest of those D linemen got to put pressure.
And the big success this week, I think, will also start up front, but on the other side of the football. How good was our offensive line this past Saturday? Kind of a ragtag group when you look at it. We've had so many people play so many different positions, but they really played well as a unit on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's a testament to Coach Trox and Coach Bauman. They did a phenomenal job just kind of limiting what they were going to do. You could see the game plan last week, not having Dean put it in the air so much, running the football both with Troy Bruce and obviously Jamar. But the thing was, keep it simple. I think it was. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep the double team simple. Let's keep the plays that we're going to run outside zone. Everything was simple for them. So I think they limited the thinking up front, and it really paid dividends when you talk about guys like Kinney and Basha. And then I think moving Reed Collins into the guard position was key right there. That was key to keep some continuity. So I think they're going to have to do the same thing, but at the same time, we're going to need Dean to throw for more than 84 yards in this football game.
Yeah, and the key right now for the Leopards is you've got to give everybody a loss. You got to give them 1 loss. 2 losses would probably be a killer in terms of getting a championship. This team has not lost in the Patriot League. Lafayette will be looking to take care of business and give them that first L by the end of the game on Saturday. It's a 1:30 start, a little bit different than the rest of the season. 1:30, Mike, inside the huddle, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we're going to talk about overtime. We're going to give you the rules of overtime. Not a lot of people understand how that works, so we're going to talk about from the coin flip to how to finish the game, whether you go past 2 overtimes. This game could come down to a kick. It could come down to an overtime play starting from the 25 in. Lafayette's got to be ready for that, and they got to be ready to get the ball in the end zone and not take field goals.
These have been great games. I expect to have another great game on Saturday. Remember, you can tune in at 1 o'clock on ESPN Plus for our pregame show. That's always very interesting. Megan, John, and Phil are there. Mike and I interrupt them every now and then and say something. So tune in for that at noon, and then, at 1 o'clock, and tune in for the football game at 1:30. This has been Behind the Mic. Thanks for joining us.